Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Report, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's take a look at some stocks on the move today in Europe. I'm Tom McKenzie with Caroline Hecker, and we are joined now by Bloomberg reporter Chloe Millay. Chloe, let's start with Greggs then, an activist investor urging the British food chain to cut costs.
Yeah, absolutely. They said that if Greggs doesn't set a minimum of £20 million of annual cost, that it would make it a prime takeover target. So Greggs' share price is down more than 40% this year. It's also London's most shorted stock. So this additional pressure on that company is not surprising. Greggs did say last month that it was making progress despite the really challenging market conditions that it's finding itself in. But it seems that investors are not quite convinced that it is making as much progress and that is doing as much as it could do to kind of turn things around. The company is struggling with rising prices for its raw ingredients and also minimum wage increases. And the company had also blamed hot weather earlier this year for slower sales. Perhaps it's true that people want fewer sausage rolls during a heat wave, but obviously can't do anything about the weather. But now pressure is mounting to get other issues that it can control under control.
Okay, so that on Greggs here in the UK. Bigger picture, though, in Europe, want to think about defence and the German titan Rheinmetall. How is the stock reacting? Because this week, as one of the key European leaders has been saying, EU leaders, that is, that this could be a pivotal week for diplomacy when it comes to Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rheinmetall is down this morning. Other defence stocks like Hensoldt and Thales, BAE, across the board, really, we are down this morning because US and Ukrainian negotiators said that they had quite productive discussions on that peace deal between between Ukraine and Russia. There's been no breakthrough yet, but there seems to be some progress, which is sending those shares down across the industry. And now the US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is heading to Russia today to continue talks there with Russia, and a lot rests on those talks and what is actually going to transpire from those. Over the last week or so, we have seen defense stocks either rally or fall depending on the details emerging from those talks and kind of general sentiment about whether or not a deal is likely. And right now it seems that the narrative is that it's still very delicate, it's still uncertain, but there is progress happening, and therefore we're seeing that weakness across those weapons makers.
And you have an update as well for us on the mining giant Fresnillo. That's as copper hits new records.
Yeah, so copper reached a record high, and that is because of fears around a potential supply crunch. So a lot of that has to do with a lot of mine disruptions that happened this year, and that obviously hurt production. There's less supply, and therefore demand is higher. And then there's also silver that rose to a record high, and that is because of expectations of a rate cut in the US, and lower borrowing costs usually benefit those precious metals. And then also very tight supply for silver. The main reason behind that is that that shortage is that there was a record amount of silver that flowed into London in October to ease a historic squeeze there. And London is the world's biggest silver trading hub, and that has in turn put other centres under pressure, and therefore inventories were down, and therefore prices were going up. And so miners overall are doing quite well because of copper and silver hitting those record highs. And Fresnillo in particular is doing particularly well because it's a gold and silver miners, particularly exposed to those movements in silver, and therefore it was up quite strongly this morning.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.